Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another installment of A Chapter a Day to Keep the Devil at Bay. We'll all read a chapter of the Bible each day from the New Living Translation. Today I'll be reading from Leviticus chapter 13, and hopefully this time the music and the microphone are recording. Last time it wasn't. That's true. I'm already holding my Bible open because I just got there checking the video. It's from where I was editing some other videos and I cut the mic off. And long story, long chapter. Let me get to it. Serious skin diseases. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "If anyone has a swelling or a rash or discolored skin that might develop into a serious skin disease, that person must be brought to Aaron the priest or to one of his sons. The priest will examine the affected area of the skin. If the hair in the affected area has turned white, and the problem appears to be more than skin deep, it is a serious skin disease, and the priest who examines it must pronounce the person ceremonially unclean. But if the affected area of the skin is only a white discoloration and does not appear to be more than skin deep, and if the hair on the spot has not turned white, the priest will quarantine the person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest will make another examination. If he finds the affected area has not changed and the problem has not spread on the skin, the priest will quarantine the person for 7 more days. On the 7th day, the priest will make another examination. If he finds the affected area has faded and has not spread, the priest will pronounce the person ceremonially clean. It was only a rash. The person's clothing must be washed and the person will be ceremonially clean. But if the rash continues to spread after the person has been examined by the priest and has been pronounced clean, the infected person must return to be examined again. If the priest finds that the rash has spread, he must pronounce the person ceremonially unclean, for it is indeed a skin disease. Anyone who develops a serious skin disease must go to the priest for an examination. If the priest finds white swelling on the skin and some hair on the spot has turned white, and there is an open sore in the affected area, it is a chronic skin disease, and the priest must pronounce the person ceremonially unclean. In such cases, the person need not be quarantined, for it is obvious that the skin is defiled by the disease. Now suppose the disease has spread all over the person's skin, covering the body from head to foot. When the priest examines the infected person and finds that the disease covers the entire body, he will pronounce the person ceremonially clean. Since the skin has turned completely white, the person is clean. But if any open sores appear, the infected person will be pronounced ceremonially unclean. The priest must make this pronouncement as soon as he sees an open sore, since open sores indicate the presence of a skin disease. However, if the open sores heal and turn white like the rest of the skin, the person must return to the priest for another examination. If the affected areas have indeed turned white, the priest will then pronounce the person ceremonially clean by declaring, "You are clean." If anyone has a boil on the skin that has started to heal, but a white swelling or a reddish white spot develops in its place, that person must go to the priest to be examined. If the priest examines it and finds it to be more than skin deep, and if the hair in the affected area has turned white, the priest must pronounce the person ceremonially unclean. The boil has become a serious skin disease. But if the priest finds no white hair on the affected area and the problem appears to be no more than skin deep and has faded, the priest must quarantine the person for 7 days. If during that time the affected area appears on the skin, the priest must pronounce the person ceremonially unclean, because it is a serious disease. But if the area grows no larger and does not spread, it is merely the scar from the boil, and the priest will pronounce the person ceremonially clean. If anyone has suffered a burn on the skin and the burned area changes color, becoming either reddish white or shiny white, the priest must examine it. If he finds that the hair in the affected area has turned white and the problem appears to be more than skin deep, a skin disease has broken out in the burn. The priest must then pronounce the person ceremonially unclean, for it is clearly a serious skin disease. But if the priest finds no white hair on the affected area and the problem appears to be no more than skin deep and has faded, the priest must quarantine the infected person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest must examine the person again. If the affected area has spread on the skin, the priest must pronounce that person ceremonially unclean, for it is clearly a serious skin disease. But if the affected area has not changed or spread on the skin, and and has faded, it is simply a swelling from the burn. The priest will then pronounce the person ceremonially clean, for it is only the scar from the burn. If anyone, either a man or a woman, has a sore on the head or chin, the priest must examine it. If he finds it is more than skin deep and has fine yellow hair on it, the priest must pronounce the person ceremonially unclean. It is a scabby sore of the head or chin. If the priest examines the scabby sore and finds that it is only skin deep, but there is no black hair on it, he must quarantine the person for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest must examine the sore again. If he finds that the scabby sore has not spread and there is no yellow hair on it and it appears to be only skin deep, the person must shave off all hair except the hair on the affected area. Then the priest must quarantine the person for another 7 days. On the 7th day, he will examine the sore again. If it has not spread and appears to be no more than skin deep, the priest will pronounce the person ceremonially clean. The person's clothing must be washed and the person will be ceremonially clean. But if the scabby sore begins to spread after the person is pronounced clean, the priest must do another examination. If he finds that the sore... hang on just a second. If he finds that the sore has spread, the priest does not need to look for yellow hair. The infected person is ceremonially unclean. But if the color of the scabby sore does not change and black hair has grown on it, it has healed. The priest will then pronounce the person ceremonially clean. If anyone, either a man or a woman, has shiny white patches on the skin, the priest must examine the affected area. If he finds that the shiny patches are only pale white, this is a harmless skin rash and the person is ceremonially clean. If a man loses his hair and his head becomes bald, he is still ceremonially clean. And if he loses hair on his forehead, he simply has a bald forehead. He is still clean. However, if a reddish-white sore appears on the bald area on top of his head or on his forehead, this is a skin disease. The priest must examine him, and if he finds a swelling around the reddish-white sore anywhere on the man's head and it looks like skin disease, the man is indeed infected with a skin disease and is unclean. The priest must pronounce him ceremonially unclean because of the sore on his head. Those who suffer from serious skin disease must tear their clothing and leave their hair uncombed. They must cover their mouth and call out, "Unclean, unclean," as long as the serious disease lasts. They will be ceremonially unclean. They must live in isolation in their place outside the camp. Treatment of contaminated clothing. Now suppose mildew contaminates some woolen or linen clothing, woolen or linen fabric, the hide of an animal, or anything made of leather. If the contaminated area in the clothing, the animal hide, the fabric, or the leather article has turned greenish or reddish, it is contaminated with mildew and must be shown to the priest. After examining the affected spot, the priest will put the article in quarantine for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest must inspect it again. If the contaminated area has spread, the clothing or fabric or leather is clearly contaminated by a serious mildew and is ceremonially unclean. The priest must burn the item, the clothing, the woolen or linen fabric, or piece of leather, for it has been contaminated by a serious mildew. It must be completely destroyed by fire. But if the priest examines it and finds that the contaminated area has not spread in the clothing, the fabric, or the leather, the priest will order the object to be washed and then quarantined for 7 more days. Then the priest must examine the object again. If he finds that the contaminated area has not changed color after being washed, even if it did not spread, the object is defiled. It must be completely burned up, whether the contaminated spot is on the inside or outside. But if the priest examines it and finds that the contaminated area has faded after being washed, he must cut the spot from the clothing, the fabric, or the leather. If the spot later reappears on the clothing, the fabric, or the leather article, the mildew is clearly spreading and the contaminated object must be burned up. But if the spot disappears from the clothing, the fabric, or the leather article, then after it has been washed, it must be washed again. Then it will be ceremonially clean. These are the instructions for dealing with mildew that contaminates woolen or linen clothing or fabric or anything made of leather. This is how the priest will determine whether these items are ceremonially clean or unclean. And there you have it for Leviticus chapter 13. That was a long one, and that was like my 6th time reading it. Took 5 times before I finally read it all the way through, got it right without messing up. There's a couple of things that kind of stumbling blocks for me, because it was like, oh, hold up, did I read that right? Because like whenever the disease spread across the whole entire body, but the body's white, then they're ceremonially clean. That threw me off, because wait, hold on, did I read that wrong? That's how I read it again. And again and again. And then I found out that the thing wasn't recording the audio from off my headset or the music that's playing in the background. And so I had to do it again. I should be happy. I got to read that chapter 6 times. So like I know it fairly well, I suppose. But it's a reference to leprosy, as you can see on the screen if you could read the King James Version that I have posted here as well. And other things besides just leprosy, I'm sure, like some kind of staph infections or something like that, probably. But anyhow, I'm glad that we have good hygiene and washing machines and laundry detergents and soap and all those good things these days. It helps to be able to prevent such things. Anyhow, as always, I pray this could be a blessing to everyone out there who hears it, so they might be better equipped and prepared to spread the word of God to others. And to anyone out there who is on their path to try to find Jesus Christ, I pray that this could be a blessing for them as well, that this will be a stepping stone that will encourage them to continue to seek Him out. Because I'm doing this because of the fact that though I don't know you, I still love you, whoever you are. I'm taking this time to be able to try to help you. I'm not doing this to be able to pat myself on the back. I'm not doing this to get a pat on the back from other Christians. I'm doing this so that I can be able to reach someone out there who's also a Christian. I mean not a Christian. I'm sorry. Someone out there who is also into playing video games and stuff. That's where I was going to go with that. Yeah. Anyone out there who's interested in some of the different things that I'm posting other videos on, that they might see those and then come here to see these videos, that they might be able to find Jesus. Those are the people that I'm trying to help, because the other people, they already have Jesus. They don't need me to be doing this. I mean, they can enjoy it and everything. They can have it set. They use it to be able to help keep them in the Word, but it's the most important thing that we can do is to be able to lead you to Jesus Christ. Those of you who may happen to see this who don't know Jesus Christ already, I pray that there's at least somebody out there who doesn't know Jesus who can be able to meet Him because of my actions, or to at least be encouraged to seek Him out even further, because you see the efforts that I'm putting forth for you, even though I don't know you, as I already said. It's the most important thing that you can do, is to give your life to Jesus Christ. Yeah. As always, I ask that if anyone has any prayer requests, that you leave your prayer requests in the comment section, and I'll be sure to pray for you. And anyone else who happens to see your prayer request, they can pray for you as well. And if you have anything further to discuss on this chapter, or if you want to discuss anything else, then leave your comment in the comment section. I'll be sure to get back with you. We can have a conversation about whatever it is that you would like to talk about. As always, may God bless you all, protect you, and keep you safe. Until next time, y'all take it easy.